Hello, Peter. We're live. Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Hello, Shadow.
Oh, hi.
It is I, the Family Guy.
Oh, yes, of course.
You were saying hi to me, Peter Griffin, right?
No, I was saying hi to the Robot Chicken team. Aren't you a big fan of Robot Chicken?
Oh dear.
Did you know it's the number one highest rated program on Cartoon Network right now?
Yeah, Chris. Someone cares about a network that no one watches. Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
Well, yeah, but
Remember that time when? Remember?
Oh my god. No, don't start with that. We're not cutting away.
Remember that time when Monsters was on the award show Audit?
Oh my gosh.
Shadow is quiet.
We're
Turn
not
up your
starting
ears.
with this.
Turn
We're
up your.
not starting with this.
Our audio's great. What shenanigans will we get into this
Oh
time?
my
Oh
god.
yeah,
Oh
excited.
yeah.
We got stuff to talk about this week. Oh
Oh,
man.
we really do. We
All
really
right,
do.
but first, Shadow, 2006 in memes. What do you got for me, bud?
The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny came out, and that's all I have to contribute.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go back to movies just because like it's hard to track when early memes really happened or were popular. So 2006 was kind of a weird year for movies. Number one highest grossing film was Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's
Oh
Chest.
yeah. That's
Ba-da-dum
right.
bum ba-da-dum bum ba-da. Okay. Da Vinci Code at number two. And then somehow number three is Ice Age: The Meltdown. It's the second one.
The second Ice Age movie was the third highest grossing movie
Yes.
that year. What?
Yes, 660 mil worldwide.
No, that's messed up. What was wrong with us back then?
Next was Casino Royale. So Ice Age beat out a James Bond movie. And then Night at the Museum, which I thought was a good movie.
Yeah,
I
I
enjoyed
liked
that.
movie. That was
I
good.
don't. I wouldn't have expected it to be the number five highest grossing film in 2006, but you know that's life. Cars at number six makes sense.
Life is a highway.
Yeah. X-Men Last Stand at 7, Mission Impossible. Oh, very relevant this week. Mission Impossible 3 at 8, Superman Returns at 9, and Happy Feet at 10.
Happy Feet. Huh.
Is Superman Returns a part of the... No.
No. This was before. This was even before Christopher Nolan's. Well, no, Batman Begins was 2005.
Oh, it's the final installment to the original Superman film series. Serves as an homage sequel, an homage sequel to Superman 2. Oh, so this is oh good. Kevin Spacey's in it. Lovely. All right. Anyway, who's ready for the award show Audit this week? We have a lot to talk about. I think we should just kind of jump into it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We can go ahead and get started.
All right. What were the nominees for the 2006 Half-Hour Animated Emmy Award?
All right, so 2006. We've got 5 nominees as per usual. 2 of which are Cartoon Network nominees this specific year, which is kind of cool. First up, we've got Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends with Go Goo Go. Second up, we've got Camp Lazlo with the pairing of Hello Dolly and Overcooked Beans, 2 11-minute segments. We've got Family Guy with PTV. South Park with Trapped in the Closet.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, it's this little show. You might have heard of it before. I don't know. It's kind of obscure. The Simpsons with the seemingly never-ending story. So those are our 5 nominees for 2006.
Okay. I think, Shadow, you are a little quiet. I listened back to that as well, and you are a little quiet. Or alternatively, I'm a little loud.
Okay. I will add a gain to my microphone.
Just to do that and do nothing else, and then we will never speak of it again.
Okay. I need to find the gain for this. Okay, here we go.
Why don't you... Okay. I mean, I could just turn my... I'm not going to do anything, though, because if we both do stuff, then that's how things get messed up.
Okay, there. I've bumped my gain up about 4 decibels, so hopefully that's better.
Wow, I've never heard you so booming in my ears.
Wow. Did it even change for Discord? I don't think it would have.
No, it did. It did. You sound You sound more confident, you know?
Oh, why, thank you.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm glad you got there. By
Oh,
turning up
boy.
your mic gain, you've now transformed into a better man.
Well, just don't throw me in the ocean.
No, we'll save that for when we watch Adventure Time.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, the first show we're going to talk about this week is Foster's.
Yes. Go Goo Go, the infamous Goo episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hang on. I don't understand how people can say that you're hard to hear because I'm literally listening to this. I unmuted it and we both sound fine. Like, turn up your headphones or your sound or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Like, I've listened back to our previous streams and I sound fine in all of them, so I don't know where that's coming from. But I mean,
I've
I
turned
also
myself down just a little bit here.
I also
So,
don't want to peak my microphone because then it
yeah.
sounds terrible. So like,
All right, everyone just calm down. I fixed it. It's all fixed. Everyone's fine. Oh my God. Okay. So, was Blue annoying in this episode? No, because this episode is about it's the introduction of the somewhat recurring. She comes back at least twice, right? Yeah, at least twice. I can think of a sleepover episode and then the fantasy episode. I don't know if she comes back any other time. Maybe the
I
finale
think
or
she's
something.
in the
But
finale.
okay, semi-recurring character Goo. Goo is a girl a little bit older than Mac who has an overactive imagination and an overactive everything, really. She talks a lot and causes a lot of problems by imagining up a lot of friends. Foster's has her banned, but Mac doesn't know this, and so Mr. Herman and Frankie blame Mac, and everyone just kind of pushes Mac in this episode until he screams at Goo, and then everything's just magically better. I don't know. This is a hard episode to really sum up because there isn't really a lot of story. It's just everyone blames Mac for Goo being obnoxious, and then Goo isn't obnoxious as much.
This episode is what reminds me of what most bad Foster's Home episodes consisted of.
Yeah,
Which was
there's no room for Blue to be annoying because we already have an annoying character here.
yeah. There's an annoying character, and the whole source of conflict for the entire episode is just everyone ignoring the one person who's trying to say logical things.
Yep.
You know, it's just let's
Yep.
just blatantly ignore all sense and rationality and just hate this person for no reason. And that's going to be the entire source of conflict for the whole episode.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I mean, Foster's loves really like putting down good-natured characters. Like Mac, Wilt, and Frankie get crapped on so much over the course of this series,
Yes.
despite really just being good-natured people. It's very strange. Can I say hi to your friend Maximus Hawkins? Sure. I hope I didn't say something stupid there. But yeah, Goo. See, the thing is, from my memory at least, Goo is not bad in her other episodes. I don't really remember much about the sleepover one, but there's this cool episode where like she imagines things in her sleep, and the characters have to become like the heroes of their fantasy game. Like that one seems cool, and like when Goo mellows out a little bit, she's a fine character. You know, the show could certainly use more recurring humans, but and it's a cool concept, right? Like, well, what happens to kids who just keep imagining?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like the idea. Like, I think it's a really cool concept, especially because like an overactive imagination is like a real thing. So, you know, just to see someone who goes crazy with it, it's like, yeah, I mean, this would happen. And then the fact that at one point the entire home is just so overflowing with imaginary friends that like all the other characters have to sleep on the bus is like, dang. And I like the idea of the reason why Goo creates so many imaginary friends is because she doesn't have any real ones, so she keeps making up these ones to comfort her. You know, whereas Mac's whole point is like, well, you know, I'll be your friend. Let's go ahead and make like a real relationship rather than just constantly replacing them over and over and over again. You know, like I get what it's going for. It's just the whole path that it takes to get there is such an unpleasant journey that it's just
Yeah.
like not a satisfying payoff for what you've just dealt with. And this is
So
again what I remember a lot of Foster's episodes that I don't like being exactly like. So
mhm.
yeah.
So Tunjae kind of hits on a point here that Goo, seemingly at least, has something like ADHD or some condition that causes her to act the way she does. I don't believe the show is trying to tell us that we should, you know, um, I guess like hold her 100% accountable. The show is telling us to have sympathy, right? That we shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
mean to someone just because they might seem annoying. They might have other things going on that you don't know about. And that's a good message. But the problem is, one of the problems with this episode is that Goo does not respect Mac or his feelings or thoughts or what he has to say or anything. And 100% you need to have sympathy and you need to be kind to people who have conditions or who have obstacles in their life and struggles. But if those people then turn around and take advantage of you, even if Goo isn't entirely in control of herself or what she's saying or doing, since she never listens to Mac or respects him as a friend, Mac is entirely justified to call her out. Because she would not listen to anything else he has to say. I hate the story because it's basically saying, be an extreme doormat, right? If this person seems like maybe they've got something going on, just be a doormat. Just let them walk all over you and don't ever say anything or be mean to them because you need to be sympathetic. And it's like that's not good. That's really
No.
not good. You need to be sympathetic, you need to be open and tolerant and accepting of all kinds of people, but at a point where someone's condition is starting to harm you and is not respecting your personal boundaries, um you need to put space between you and that person. That's just the natural truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if it doesn't matter if they can't control it or whatever, if they're harming you, you need to be able to speak up about it and say something. And the fact that Mac throughout the episode, and the episode implies, this is another weird thing, the episode implies that this episode takes place over a year.
Yes, it does.
Goose
Yep.
shows up at the door in snowstorms and heat waves and 4th of July and in like Christmas, in everything. And it implies that this has gone on for so long, which is just it's very weird implications. 2J says, but Mac is too afraid of telling Goo exactly what he wants. He beats around the bush instead of telling her directly not to come in the house. I heavily disagree with that. Mac tells her. Mac tries to have any amount of conversation with her. She will not listen to a word he has to say until he screams at her. And then him screaming at her is deemed by the episode as incorrect and wrong. And perhaps he was meaner than he needed to be, but what other option did Mac have? That's the way this episode plays out, and it's not realistic. It's not good. It doesn't teach people how to act correctly, kids. It's just a stupid. And you see this all the time in cartoons where it's a character acts overbearing and mean, or I don't think Goo's mean, but like either mean or obnoxious or just doesn't respect anyone else. And then when the person finally grows a backbone to say something back, then that's deemed as too far, man. You hurt that person's feelings. And it's like, what about Mac's feelings throughout this entire episode? I mean, not to mention how Mr. Harriman and Frankie treat him, which is another thing we'll talk about.
Right.
But just the way Goo treats him, in that she wants to be his friend, but she never lets him say anything. Like, ugh, do not like.
No, this is, as Tyler TV points out in the chat, this is exactly like Imposter's Home for Make 'em Up Pals. Yeah. It's the exact same thing. It's just Mac instead of Frankie. And I absolutely loathe the Imposters episode. And watching this again, because I didn't have a good memory of this episode. I remembered not really liking it as a kid because I found Goo annoying, but I didn't really recognize all of the writing flaws until I rewatched it again this time. And yeah, no, I hate this episode. This is awful. Like that, yeah. Like this was not nominee worthy. Now I think this was in the season that people consider the worst season of the show, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it is. It was either season 3 or 4 was the worst one. So I'm not surprised. Like I had a feeling going in because I remember it being infamous, but yeah, no, I don't think this is award worthy, especially in terms of comedy and writing. Like animation
Yeah.
wise, sure, but that's every Foster's episode. You could have picked any Foster's episode to go to push for the animation aspect. Like other than the sheer like multitude of different character designs that Goo comes up with, other than that, there's not really a whole lot different that makes this episode stand out from most. I mean, I don't know. That's just me.
Messages of tolerance and inclusion, maybe, like,
I
you know.
guess, but it's so poorly done. Like,
Yes, yes,
that's the problem. Like at least in other episodes that were pushing a message, you know, it was a little more clear and bearable. Sure, maybe it was very plain and direct, but at least it wasn't like so. It didn't feel like it was forcing it so much that it just completely ended up creating this entirely other implication that's just the polar like opposite of what it really wants to preach.
Yeah.
You know,
So yeah, then let's talk about Mr. Harriman and Frankie. And okay, look, the thing is, Mr. Harriman, this is just kind of his character. It's not like he's out of character or anything. Like he is what he is. He is very strict with rules, even though Mac had no possible way to know that Goo is banned from the house. Mac had no way of knowing, but Mr. Harriman's unfair to him through the whole thing. Whatever. I don't care. Mr. Harriman's a jerk. That's just his character. That's fine. Frankie, on the other hand,
right,
is wildly out of character here. I mean, she definitely has her times when she is a harsher character, but generally it's to characters like Harriman who deserve it, not to or when she's been overworked. And I get that Goo probably means a lot more work for Frankie, but like, in what world is it cool that she just comes in and starts blaming Mac for everything? Neither of them let him speak either.
No.
What is up with this episode?
And when he does speak,
the only
they don't
way
even listen to him.
No.
You know?
You're telling me for over a year, Mac has been trying to say she's not my girlfriend. I don't know this person, and I don't really like her either, right? But yet no one has listened to him. Not once in a year has Frankie been like, oh, yeah, I can see how this really pushy, person who doesn't let anyone else speak, I can see how she might take advantage of you, Mac, and I'm sorry that's happening to you. No, it's we have to sleep in the van because of you, Mac.
And now you
did this to us.
And now you can't come to Foster's anymore at all.
Yeah,
you're done.
what?
You're gone. It's like, what kind of stupid extremes? Like, again, this episode feels so forced.
Yes,
so
that's what
forced.
it is. Because the only way it makes any sense is if no one ever listens to Mac.
Yeah.
If Mac is stuck in this land where he's just saying things that people misunderstand or whatever. It's just like.
And it would be one thing if Mac was like acting like super like rude or being like obnoxious about something, like to the point where no one like, where they have legit reason to not pay attention to his concerns. But it's not written like that in the slightest. Mac has done nothing wrong in the entire episode. Like, he's entirely in the right from the beginning to the end.
You know what? I could fix this episode. I don't know if fix entirely, but why wasn't it Blue? No one would believe Blue I mean, actually, I feel like we've had episodes where no one believes Blue because he's done such awful things in the past. But if Blue Blue does encourage Goo's antics, because of course, even when he's only a minor character in an episode, he still has to encourage bad behavior. But like, if they make it Blue and Blue kind of gets crapped on by the world, I feel better because Blue deserves it. You know what I mean? And Blue kind of meeting someone else who's equally as annoying as he is, it makes sense. Also, what is up with this show? Why are all the characters so annoying? What about Cheese? Like, why are so many of the recurring characters just annoyance machines?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I genuinely think Craig McCracken is like amazing and makes great stuff. But like, this show, man, so many people have nostalgia for it, and I think it's just because they remember the absolute best. They remember the cool character designs, the great concept, but they don't remember the actual episodes, which are just, not all of them, but a lot of them play out just like this episode.
Yeah. Foster's could have very, dare I say it, mean-spirited episodes. Like, and I don't feel bad in saying that either, because I know that's a blanket term.
No, you're not wrong.
But no, like it really does. There's so many situations. I remember as a kid, like there were plenty of episodes. I mean, everyone knows Bendy, but it goes further than that. That episode with the Abe Lincoln pencil, I could not stand that even as a kid. That was like the worst episode to me. I loathed
can't even
that one.
remember that. How about the one where Madame Foster screws everyone out of their plane tickets?
Yes, Foster's
Like,
Go
what
to
is up
Europe.
with that?
I didn't like that one either. Like, ugh. There's so many episodes. I think Foster's Go to Europe is actually the episode right before this one in this season. Yeah, no, there were so many episodes, and it's just like, I really like Foster's when it's good, and that's why.
Well, we talked about it last week. We talked about it last.
And even Destination Imagination as well.
Yes.
It's like Foster's had great episodes when it was good, but it's also the show where it's like it's either super amazing or super terrible. Like it's not ever really in the middle there. You know, it's not a Camp Lazlo or anything.
It doesn't. The episode also doesn't make any sense in the sense that like you spend about like 19 minutes with Goo being hyperactive, and she talks about how it's, you know, her parents encourage her to, you know, be creative and don't ever put a damper on it and all this other stuff, right? You spend all this time with her creating all sorts of imaginary friends, so many that the house is literally bursting with them. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's uncontrollable, and she, you know, all this stuff. And then after Mac blows up at her, she starts crying, and Mac goes in and is like comforts her. She's like, I don't have any friends, and he's like, okay, whatever, I'll be your friend. After that, we just cut ahead, and then just suddenly, she's been able to adopt a way. That's why I said this episode takes place over more than a year, because I think the main events are over a year, and then that cutaway happens months later, because she's friend of the month for like 12 months or something. Like, it's weird. But anyway, she's adopted out like 90 of these friends, and she's like, I gotta be responsible for these friends. It's like, where does she learn this lesson? This is just off screen? Why couldn't we have more of her actually progressing as a character instead of just like 20 minutes of let's blame Mac for this other person's problems?
Yeah, for real. Like that's exactly it. I thought that conclusion just came out of nowhere. There was no development. Weird. It's like they spend the whole episode just going through all this awful stuff, and then out of nowhere, it's just like, oh, okay, it's better, yay. And it's like, I'd rather, like you said, I'd rather have the episode, like, let's just begin with Goo being, like, you know, herself, and then she's like, I want to change. And then the episode's about her actually learning to change and become the person that she is at the end of the episode. Like, that would have been a much better episode. Like, again, that's a very, very simple way of putting it, but, like, that's all I'd care about. Like,
I mean, here's the episode. Mac learns that this girl is banned from Foster's and wants to know why. He finds out, and he wants to help her, and so the two of them have to figure out how to calm her down so she doesn't invent so many imaginary friends so she can get into Foster's. There you go. There's a story. That's fine. That works. Why does it have to be this annoying? I don't get it. Again, I like Goo. I think that there's like a good idea in here, but it's just the way this story plays out is really just be a doormat for 20 minutes, finally lose your cool at someone who has never listened to you in the course of a year, and then just that things are magically solved. Really, honestly, maybe the episode is teaching you that you should yell at someone, because that's the only thing that got through to her.
Yeah, and that's the only time things changed. So maybe that is the message.
It's also weird too, because like Tunde said, is Goo supposed to be an analog for someone with, you know, like ADHD or ADD or something like that? Because if so, why is there dialogue in there about her parents like letting her do whatever she wants? Like is it saying that her parents are to blame for her being this way, or does she have, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it's a weird episode. But yeah, I don't like these kinds of stories where someone has to be a doormat, and then the second they stand up for themselves, then we get sad, sympathetic backstory. It doesn't work for me. Especially as someone who, you know, I try not to be mean to people, and I try to be accepting and tolerant, and sometimes I do feel like I get taken advantage of because of it. I do feel like I put myself in situations where I'm uncomfortable, and I try to stay that way just because to keep other people happy. Like, I think it's something that we kind of grow up learning, and it sucks, you know? Like, your own self is more important than keeping someone around who is harmful to you. And I mean, granted, this episode, Goo is most harmful to Mac just because Frankie and Mr. Harriman are awful to him too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just and no one's on Mac's side either is the weird thing. Like, none of the other friends stick up for him or believe. Like, it's such a stupid story. Well, we can move on. I don't know that there's anything else to say, but this is a pretty bad episode even by Foster's standards, and it doesn't even it hardly has anything to do with Blue. Also, can we talk about how much of a missed opportunity it is that there's all these like weird orange blues and we don't hear about them?
Nope.
Actually, wait a minute. There's another episode where Mac brings Blue into school, and everyone else imagines up fake blues, and then that's like an 11-minute episode, and then we never hear of them again because they join the ice capade. That's right. Foster's is so weird.
Yeah, I remember that episode. I've seen that episode so many times. Yeah. All right.
Oh yeah, apparently, yeah. Lauren's saying the same thing happens in Rio 2, where Blue gets crapped on by Jules' family, the Amazon birds, and even her to an extent, and then he gets called out by his wife as selfish when he had done nothing wrong. Yeah, you see this all the time in media where it's like a cheap kind of like gut punch, I guess, to the audience, where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it puts heroes in a position where they are pushed to their extreme, right? They are bullied or ignored or talked over or whatever. And then the second they finally stand up for themselves, that's when the annoying person was going to do a nice gesture, like Goo fixing Mac's backpack, right? Like, it's right then and there that the annoying or mean or whatever character finally started to actually do, like, it's the first nice thing they've ever done. That's the moment when the hero yells at them, because it's contrived writing. That's not how real world works, and it makes for frustrating stories where the hero is not wrong, but is made to feel wrong because the story suddenly wants to paint a character in a different light, even though we've just watched 18 minutes of them acting in an entirely different way. I don't get the sense that Goo was ever meaning harm on Mac or anyone else, but I also never get the sense that she actually cares about him in the episode. Like,
yeah, neither do I.
Yeah. All right, now we can move on.
Okay. All right. So second up, we've got Camp Lazlo with the pairing of Hello Dolly and Overcooked Beans.
God. Okay. Hello Dolly is an episode in which Perry the Platypus, no, Plankton, nope, Edward, the, like, brash, mean boy, is caught playing with a doll, and he lies and says that he's gonna blow it up. And then everyone in camp gets real excited that he's going to destroy this doll. But as it turns out, he loves this doll, and he's ashamed that, that he's embarrassed of it all. And then Lazlo finds out that Edward loves the doll, and then tells a lie that helps Edward save the doll. The other episode, what was it? Heat roasted beans or something?
Overcooked beans.
Overcooked beans. A magical air conditioning unit falls out of the sky, and everyone fights over it. That's the story.
Yep. Yeah, that's the story.
Wait, who's that off screen? Is that Monsters Review?
No.
No.
It's not. Not this time.
All right. So remember how I said Camp Lazlo wasn't really that bad last week?
I do remember that, Pi. Would you like to make a correction?
I take it all back. Camp Lazlo is a criminally boring show.
Thank you.
I really genuinely hate this show. Honestly, the TV movie was probably one of the better things that came out of the show, because this is just... Okay, look, the thing that I have that's nice about Hello Dolly, at least, and probably the reason why this was nominated, the concept of Edward... I almost called him Eduardo. The fact that he plays with a doll, and the episode does not shame him for playing with a doll, a traditionally feminine object. I think that is a lovely message.
Agreed.
However, Camp Lazlo is boring. It is so boring. And when you're not bored, you're just reminded of SpongeBob.
Yes. Literally.
Shadow, you didn't talk that much about Camp Lazlo next week, so I won't hog the conversation. I'll let you talk about how
Okay,
you feel about these.
so here's what I have to say. I 100% agree. The message of Hello Dolly is the best thing I have to say about this entire pairing. Because yeah, it's like it's let people like what they want to like. Nobody should be shamed for liking something that is necessarily outside of their demographic, for lack of a better term. Um, I think that as far as the episode went, specifically Hello Dolly first, it was very, very slow. Like, the entire conflict of the episode is dragged out. Like, it feels like there should have been more, like, more conflict, essentially, because it feels like the first half of the episode is just Edward playing with his doll, and then the second half is, like, just him trying to justify that it's not his and then promising to blow it up. But it's like, and the concept of like blowing something up is like typically seemed as like cool explosions. Hey, that's awesome. Well, Camp Lazlo found a way to make that unfun because it's not even exciting. Like, there's not even a dramatic explosion. He just pumps it up with air and then a pickle just like pops and then it rains
Pickle, you
marshmallows
say?
and pickles. Yeah, it's the funniest blank I've ever seen, except not really. Not really at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as for the second episode though, and we were making these comparisons during our watch, it is literally Crabs a la mode. But like this episode technically came first. But like the weird thing, and I just noticed this now while we were talking about it, the whole like Crabs a la mode versus overcooked beans, it's kind of going for a similar pun too. Like even in the episode title. Like,
but as it turns out, Crabs a la mode came out after this and was made after this.
Yes, which is
so it's just
strange.
weird similarities. It's not I'm not claiming Camp Lazlo ripped anything off. It's all weird too because Joe Murray made Rocco, which Stephen Hillenburg worked on and Tom Kenny worked on. Like it SpongeBob exists in large part because Rocco exists, and then Camp Lazlo came along, created by the guy who like kind of helped shape what SpongeBob would become by working with other people. Like it's all a big mess. I don't say it reminds me of SpongeBob to cast blame on anyone. Yeah. I'm just saying that like from a perspective, and the thing is, I don't know that I would be that distracted if Camp Lazlo wasn't so boring.
Yeah, not to mention, and again, the big qualm with me, and as you've also brought up before, is the sound library is exactly the same. Like using the sound library of a show that's so iconic in some other form of media, it's very difficult not to notice it.
Yeah.
And it just like takes me out of the whole experience because I just keep thinking of this other better show that I like more.
The weird thing too is Rocko's Modern Life didn't use that sound library. I don't think. Maybe for one song here or there, but by and large it had its own soundtrack. But I think the sound library thing kind of just like Camp Lazlo, I can't sum it up in one thing, really. It's just like it's a lot of things that are just not that interesting put together, and I don't know. It's like I want to like this show. I watched it as a kid. I did. It's Ren and Stimpy used the sound library too.
Yes,
that's true. But from what I remember, they didn't use the the problem is this uses a lot of the more popular SpongeBob songs. Like I don't know if I'm crazy, but I feel like the sound library that they get these things from is a big library, right? Like with lots and lots of music, and for whatever reason, this just shares a lot of the same songs as SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sound effects too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally the answer to this episode's problems came falling out of the sky. I know I made that joke during our watch, but I gotta say it again because it's true.
The problem is really it's the kind of cartoon that SpongeBob is, and there can exist many comedic cartoons out there, of course, but it's just there's just so many similarities, and it just doesn't offer anything original. It just doesn't. There's nothing in here, right? A camp setting like that hasn't been done before in many forms of media. The voice cast, it's like all Nickelodeon people. It's got like, quirky main character and grumpy other guy that gets annoyed by him all the time. That like and I think the slapstick is not good. I think the actual like cartooniness, it's slow. It's slow and it's long, and every episode for whatever reason, it's like the in the other episode, in the one with the air conditioning unit, what happens is the Lazlo hooks it up in his cabin, and then Edward's cabin steals it, and then another cabin steals it from Edward, and then another cabin like literally 4 times we see this what is essentially the same scene. It doesn't progress, it doesn't escalate, it doesn't add to some sort of like crazy thing. It's just kind of slow in the way it moves, and I don't. And yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, Michael. It does feel like a Cartoon Network show that's trying to be Nickelodeon. Like, this show would fit more on Nickelodeon.
Absolutely, it would. Absolutely.
I don't know. CDCB, I will say I agree. The one joke that I thought was all right was when Edward, there's a flashback to Christmas, which I feel like should be significant because I don't think we usually see the characters like parents or other seasons or anything in this show, but maybe I'm wrong. It's Christmas and he gets the doll and he's so enamored with it. He tells his mom, she's like, but what about your other presents? And he's like, donate them to charity. Yeah, and then the scene cuts away fast. Yeah. That's a funny joke. And it's so fast and he's so harsh in the way he says it and that's a good joke. But so much of the humor in this, it's just, I don't know. I mean, you see those two purple dudes in the background? Guess what? They're stupid characters.
Yeah, Chip and Skip.
And most of their dialogue is just being like, I didn't know you could blow up a doll. Really? I didn't know that either. Yeah. Like, that's their dialogue.
It's very, very slow. Like, they speak so slowly.
And it's not humor. Like, imagine if Patrick was cut in two.
Yeah.
And then spoke slower. And was somehow dumber. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I did not find this episode very enjoyable either. I mean, it wasn't outright badly written. Either of them weren't like badly written. They were just bland. They were dull.
It's
yeah.
Spot on Chip and Skip impression. I don't know. And again, I genuinely do feel bad for this because I know there are people that feel passionately about the show. Mm-hmm. And I know I don't necessarily do the best job of articulating why I don't like it because I don't think it's as easy to describe why this doesn't work as it is like something that's aggressively bad. Like we can talk about why Big Mouth doesn't work, for hours. Like there are a lot of things that we could sit and describe about why that doesn't work tonally or this or that. This with Camp Lazlo, it's more just I really think that the show just needs to be cranked up. The craziness, the speed of it, the stakes of what goes on. That's another thing. The stakes of these episodes are always just pretty low. I mean, Edward and a doll, like, okay, sure. But it's just like every episode kind of feels like that, where it's, I don't know. I honestly didn't really feel like they were ever going to blow up the doll in this episode because they make such a big fuss about how much Edward likes it. They don't really keep you on your like you could have milked that for more tension and drama. And dude, okay, so what happens is Edward tells Lazlo the doll is in his cabin, so, go get it, and Lazlo goes, and I kid you not, what did I tell you, Shadow? What did I tell you? Lazlo's gonna see a picture of Edward and the doll, realize what's going on, and cover for him. Yeah. And guess what happens? That exact thing, down to the picture, literally a picture of Edward and the doll that he just has for some reason, even though he's trying to hide this.
Yeah. Yeah, and he has like the whole like house set or whatever too, and it's just like, where was this in all the other episodes? I mean, I know it's
a cartoon. I mean,
I know. It's just like the dude's trying to hide this stuff, but he's got so much of it that it's just like, you really expect me to believe that he just has all of this stuff in his cabin? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it's a cartoon.
I think, yeah. I just need more, and it just, I don't know. It's also, I mean, it is like SpongeBob in that a lot of it is based on the comedy, and so if it's not doing that well, it's just you're not feeling much. If you have less, I guess, experience watching a cartoon. If you haven't seen as many cartoons in your life, maybe when you watch this, you will be more enamored and excited and surprised by what happens. But for me, it just, I don't know. Maybe the show's for a really young demographic. Maybe I'm just, maybe I don't know. We can move on. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have much to say about Camp Lazlo other than what's already been said. So yeah. All right. Third up, we've got Family Guy with PTV. This is I'm very torn on this one.
Hey, Shadow. Remember that time we watched Family Guy?
Remember that time we watched Blue Harvest and it was the worst piece of Star Wars media I've ever seen?
Yes, but Shadow, was it as bad as the time that we watched Big Mouth? You know, Shadow, it's not as bad as the... Oh, no, I can't do Brian. It's just Seth MacFarlane's voice.
It is.
Giggity giggity.
If you can do all the characters, you must be able to do the Emperor from Robot Chicken, then. Because it's just
you mean Brian Griffin?
Yeah.
It would have been funnier if it was just Brian Griffin, the doll of Brian Griffin in the Star Wars special. Okay, so anyway, spot on Peter Griffin. Oh no, that was a good Brian. Yikes, dude, Joe. I think you could do a better Patrick Warburton than I can, Shadow.
I'd have to listen to his voice again. I mean, I know
It's
what it
Patrick
sounds
Warburton.
like.
I mean,
I know what it sounds like, but in order for me to be able to
he sounds
mimic a
like
voice,
Kronk.
I do need to like listen to it before I mimic a voice if I haven't done it in a while.
Squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeaking.
Squeak, squeaking.
Hello there, Peter. I am the wheelchair character. They make fun of my wheelchair frequently on this show. I do not think those jokes held up in hindsight. Okay, can't believe you got Seth MacFarlane on the show. Should I go get Craig McCracken and
No,
have it be
don't
a party?
bring Craig McCracken back. He's been through too much this week.
Okay. So yes, PTV is an episode in which do Meg. Ew, gross. PTV is an episode in which the Emmys apparently have a wardrobe malfunction happen. And so the FCC starts cracking down on anything deemed inappropriate. And they censor everything. So Peter makes his own TV channel. And this leads the FCC to start censoring real life, too. And then they sing a song about it.
Yep.
I don't know. How does it get resolved? Lois does something?
Yeah.
I genuinely don't remember. We watched this episode 2 days ago.
Oh, no, I need to refresh myself, too, because I remember the TV skits and, like, the different parodies.
Well,
like,
that's the main thing. Okay, so here's the thing.
Actual plot, I don't really care about.
No one cares about the story.
No.
This episode is 100%. Rowan ever says it's in this episode. Peter doesn't get to watch the Emmys to see The Secrets of the Deep, won Best Documentary.
Yeah, right.
What a shame.
Aww.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Peter farts. That's the solution. All right. Oh yeah, he goes to. That's right. They go to Congress and they tell him, listen.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
How all the monuments are more suggestive
dirty.
than we realize.
Okay. Anyway, what this episode really is, and I have no idea if this is representative of the average Family Guy episode, but this episode is honestly closer to something like Interdimensional Cable than it is an actual episode. It's or even, how about this? I can hear you getting upset that I even compared them. How about this episode is closer to a Robot Chicken episode than it is like an actual story, because honestly, the most memorable part is jokes. They throw so many jokes at you in this episode. You can't go a minute without some cutaway or some ridiculous joke or like some weird thing Peter's doing on his TV station. Like, there is so much. And honestly, I love it. I think this episode works. Do I enjoy all of the jokes? No, I think like 30 to 50% of them garbage. I think they're really bad jokes. But Family Guy in this episode, PTV, swings for the fences. it goes all out in having as many jokes as possible and goes to the weirdest places. It goes to the most extreme. And I think that it works because there was a lot of jokes in here I laughed at. Even stupid things like Peter he the FCC comes for him and he puts on a jetpack and then it just smashes his head into the wall over and over.
Over and over,
It's good fast animation. Like and at first, like, yes, this episode is I don't know if this is every Family Guy episode because I thought it was just a meme that Family Guy couldn't go like 2 minutes without saying, "Hey, remember that time we met Spider-Man?" I don't know what voice that was. Maybe Chris. You know, like that's a joke, right? Like that they mention these things all the time. But in this episode, they word for word say, "Remember that time XXX?"
Yeah,
like
and they do it over and over and over again. It's literally like it doesn't have any shame. It's just like, yeah, remember that time we blah blah blah.
Yeah, but it's the episode just kind of metronomes back and forth between here's an overly long annoying gag of like terrorists being silly, and then it jumps right into a really cool joke of Stewie like driving his tricycle through all sorts of things, getting more and more ridiculous, including the one that made me laugh the most was Doom. Was it Doom or Quake? Actually,
Doom.
I think it was Doom. He's just driving through Doom.
Yeah. that part killed me. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Because this episode, like, it started with the whole like Al Qaeda jokes, and I was like, okay, interesting start.
It goes on for a while,
and it goes on for minutes, and I'm just like, I was into it at first, and then I was like, okay, nope, this is overstaying its welcome. I'm getting bored. I fell out of the episode, and then as soon as Stewie came in, and he just like demolished all of them, fell off the mountain, hopped on his big wheel, and just went through all these ridiculous scenes, like the whole
including running over Homer.
Yes, including that. It just like everything completely turned around, and I was like, okay, and you know what? No, I'm back in. It pulled me back in, and from there again, I was back and forth. Like again, there are a lot of moments where it's like I really don't care for this. I'm not into it, and then there are other moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hysterical. You know, like I love all the different like ridiculous concepts for TV shows that Peter comes up with.
The side boob hour.
Yes.
It's a good joke. It's crass. I mean, this episode is very crass. If you're not into that, you're not into this episode. But it works. It made me laugh.
Absolutely.
Like,
I love the whole like. I don't know if I can say this.
Oh, go for it. Say it.
Are you giving me permission?
I don't care.
I don't care. I love the douchebags parody. That show.
Yeah.
Oh, that one killed me. I thought that one was great.
Let's see.
And
Family Guy of this era was doing that a lot in season 4, is what people were saying.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I was into it way more than Blue Harvest. So
interesting. Toonjay says that the TV airing, Lois calls the FCC because of the side boob hour, but the DVD, it's because of that parody where he poops on the highway and hits Lois's car. The HBO, the Hulu version we watched was because of the poop, and that makes a lot more sense. Like, because that directly negatively affected her versus, you know, I don't know, tasteless side boob or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, and like, you could argue, I don't know. How much do you think this episode actually takes a stand or, like, has a message behind it? Because it does.
It does.
It's not
it's commenting on the FCC and the restrictions they have at play and how, like, people are, you know, like, a lot of people are more into the stuff that the FCC tries to censorship. And the ridiculous lengths that they go to. Like, the part where Peter's, like, stepping out of the bathroom and the FCC guy's holding up a black bar in front of him. Like, that's clearly satire.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, it's definitely got a message. And, like, I find it humorous how far they go with it to kind of get that point across. And I love how the hypocrisy is, like, sorry.
No, it's okay.
The fact that they point out the hypocrisy of the FCC, especially with that ending sequence with the resolution that we just remembered now. But, like, now that I'm remembering it, I think the fact that they point out that hypocrisy is kind of, like, pretty substantial ending to the episode.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I love the fact that it mentions the Emmys.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Peter really wants to get home and watch the Emmys. Come on, who does that? I don't know, maybe back then.
Yeah, right.
Um, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Robot Ever says the message is just censorship is bad, in no way more complex than that, but it's okay because it's clearly meant to be more of a vehicle for jokes. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that it has a message, even if it is a pretty base level one. And yeah, I like that it's not just like, why can't we show extreme stuff on TV? They point out like a lot of the more inane stuff like farting, like why would anyone care? Like
Yeah.
why, if that was allowed, like why would that not be allowed on TV? Um, so yeah, and then yeah, like a lot of hypocrisy about how you can show certain actions and all that stuff. The song is great. Um,
Oh yeah,
the
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 song.
the weird critiquing of language that you can't say, like, and then I love the fact that they hammer it home with just a fast montage of like the most outrageous Family Guy clips up to that point. Like, yeah, I mean, it's basically like if Robot Chicken had a very light ongoing narrative and a point to it.
Mhm.
So I think this is Emmy worthy. I don't know that I'd say that like this is amazing, but I think that a lot of the jokes really work, and I like the message behind it.
Yeah.
Bleep Van Bleep. Yeah, that was a good joke. See, even though I don't like Seth MacFarlane, I could definitely acknowledge when he's made something I like. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I also
I
would
don't
say
know.
this is
I
well
don't.
done.
I don't understand why Stewie sings or even Brian. Why are they singing the song? Like, why were these characters selected to sing the song? Maybe Seth MacFarlane was the only one available that day. like Stewie has nothing to do with anything in this story other than that he gets traumatized by Peter's poop.
Yep.
Uh, so, but he's there. He gets to sing. Whatever. It's fine. um. Yeah, so I thought I thought this was good. This is definitely the best episode of Family Guy I've seen.
Mhm.
So, you know.
I can say the same thing because I've barely seen any episodes of Family Guy. But yeah, no, this was not bad. It got better after that opening sequence. I thought the opening was probably the weakest part.
Yeah. It's so sad they probably can sing with himself. Yeah, he does like singing. Yeah, and alright, he may not be half bad at it. Sure. I kind of was surprised that this wasn't the Grinds My Gears episode because that's Peter running a TV station or at least running a TV show, I think.
Hmm.
You know that meme, Shadow? You ever heard of memes?
Oh, memes. Yeah, there's tons of memes out there. Like the one where Peter hurts his leg, or where
Like
Brian
Pickle
gets
Rick.
run over by a car. I know Family Guy memes.
Or when they all take Ipecac. It's a good item in Binding of Isaac. Anyway, that's about it. I mean, there's not really a lot to this episode. The resolution is funny. It's just very strange, but I don't know how else you would end an episode like this, really.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. Well, we can move on to the fourth nominee, which is South Park with Trapped in the Closet.
Oh boy. So episodes with messages behind them. Okay. So in this episode, Stan gets recruited into Scientology, and they say that he is the leader has been reincarnated as him. And we learn about Scientology, and also that according to South Park, it is just completely made up stuff so that they can make a lot of money.
Yep.
Also, meanwhile, and almost unrelated, really, Tom Cruise, as well as John Travolta and R. Kelly, I think,
Yes.
all decide to enter Stan's closet and not leave it, and none of them will come out of the closet.
None of them.
Back in the real world, this episode caused one of the main characters on the show, the actor Isaac Hayes, to leave the show because he was a Scientologist. To which Matt and Trey basically said, "Well, you had no problem when we made fun of Christians, Jews, agnostics, atheists, anyone else. But so you profited a lot off of that, and you have a problem with this. And then sadly, Isaac Hayes passed away like 2 years later, so there was never any time for any further, comment or discussion or anything. This also led to a notoriously awful episode called "The Return of Chef," where they you would probably like it because it's got a bunch of Star Wars references, but they kill Chef off and then they bring him back, and no, they don't kill him off. They make him. I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, so the Church of Scientology made Isaac quit. Well, okay, so it's as with a lot of things related to Scientology, there's a lot of kind of mystery and shadows around. No pun intended. Around the actions. Apparently, someone on behalf of him wrote a message, while he was not feeling well, saying that he was quitting South Park. But he also later went into interviews saying that he disagreed with the way South Park portrayed Scientology and everything. So it seems to be a mixture of both. The church pressured him, as well as his own views. I don't know. Shadow, how do you feel about making a statement on Scientology? Should we? How afraid of Scientology are you?
Well, I don't want to get sued.
It's all right. They don't know our real identities. That is true.
I don't want them to. Yeah, I also don't want to get doxxed.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. This episode was honestly a lot of people, myself included, introduction to Scientology. A lot of people weren't aware of what it was because it is kind of centralized in a few various locations. I believe Florida, California, although I'm sure they have outreach programs everywhere. But basically, yeah, like this episode introduced a lot of people to Scientology and a lot of the damage that it causes. I ain't afraid. Like, look, the thing is, Scientology is a very, very harmful and scary organization that threatens and harasses people who speak ill of them. And the fact that South Park was able to stand up and make this statement, it
Uh-oh. I think my internet is, hang on, guys. 1 second. I think my internet just dropped. Or Pi's internet dropped. I'm not sure. Just give me 1 second, guys.
Scary. This is it. I mean, the freemium, look, that's an important big thing. Uh-oh, what happened?
I think the internet just, fluctuated for a second, but I think you're back now. They got him.
Got me. No.
Look what happens, Pi.
No!
I told you not to do it. I told you not to.
Oh no. My internet company is owned by Scientology.
What have you done? Well, guys, the award show
censored.
Audit is officially canceled. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's it.
My internet wouldn't come out the closet.
Oh. Okay. Anyway.
I don't know how much of that you guys heard, but look, the bottom line is it's a big, scary organization, and it's good that they took a stand because people need to know about what it is, really. To move on to the Simpsons quick. But yeah, the fact that they were willing to talk about it, and not just talk about it, but really, really, go deep into it, I think it's a good thing. Net good for society. Mm-hmm. So, there's that. I will say the episode does feel a little bit in the same way as Freemium in that it's not as much of a story as I would like.
Yeah.
I would prefer that it was more of a story rather than, here, let's lecture you about Scientology. But again, it's an important thing. And I do feel like there is still a story to this. Oh, and Ro, whatever, is just typed out what I said. But yeah, there's that. Also going on, and I don't entirely understand this because I was not paying attention to celebrities then or now, but apparently there's a rumor that Tom Cruise is gay, and so the trapped in the closet thing is related to that, I guess, because that's obvious. It's generally what you say if someone is hiding their homosexuality, they're ashamed of it and they're hiding it. I don't know if it's true. I have no idea. I'm not making any accusations, and I think it's generally a crummy thing to do to out someone. However, if this was a general rumor going around, I don't think South Park started this. I think it's just a general rumor, and I think the joke is more about his reaction to all of it and like
Yes.
the, you know. So do you know anything about this?
So I like, in terms of what Scientology is, yeah, I've done a little research on what it is, and I don't have good things to say about it, but
Mm.
um, I know for a fact that Tom Cruise is a big Scientologist. I've seen
Yes.
interviews
Oh,
that
that's
he's
true.
done,
Yes.
so like obviously he was a go-to choice here. I would assume the fact that they picked the other celebrities to show up, that they are
Well,
also
R. Kelly. Okay, I don't know about Scientology, but R. Kelly had a song called "Trapped in the Closet." I know that much
okay.
because Weird Al made a parody of it.
Gotcha.
That's his whole thing. Um,
That makes sense.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
I took the whole trapped in the closet thing as like, yeah, I know what the idiom means, but
yeah.
I also think that it was used to as like his reaction to what Stan said when he said he wasn't like, the best actor ever or whatever.
Right.
You know.
That's the in-story thing. And maybe it's just all a big metaphor for how Tom Cruise responds to criticism
Yeah.
or accusations or whatever.
Mhm.
Um and yes, Train Man makes a point. So this is the episode and the reason why Tom Cruise is the lead bad celebrity in episode 200. The other band episode that got the crew threats. Oh boy. Yeah. So this episode is important, but it does require a lot of like outside knowledge of what's going on. If you didn't know anything about any of these things, or even if you thought that they maybe made up Scientology, the story itself is just kind of weird. You have to have real world context to know anything.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I mean, again, just for taking on Scientology and in the way that they do, I do applaud South Park, and I think that this episode has a lot of significance. And the fact that they were even willing to lose one of their lead voice actors over it just shows the fact that the thing that they believe in, Matt and Trey, and maybe this isn't true anymore, but at least years ago, their whole
Mhm.
thing, and which is weird because this is similar to PTV, is that you can make fun of anyone, but if you don't make fun of everyone, then you're being like a bigot. Then you are choosing to target or not target based upon your beliefs. If you simply make fun of everyone and everything indiscriminately, then that's fine because you call out everyone's nonsense. But as soon as you start saying no, we can't make fun of certain religions or certain groups or whatever, then suddenly you're saying, well, that opens you up to, well, then why'd you make fun of Jewish people, right? You think it's
Yes.
okay to make like, and I'm not saying I agree with that sentiment or anything, but that's just kind of the way it is, and it at least makes logical sense to me that if they were to not do a Scientology episode, then that would be them saying, well, this we can't make fun of, or
Yeah.
this is a special thing over here. Um, yeah.
Mhm.
This is what Scientologists actually believe. Yeah, and I mean they do the same thing with the Mormon episode. They really lambast the beliefs that Mormons hold. Um, Although they are generally pretty nice to the Mormons themselves in the episode. They do this with atheists and agnostics in later episodes. Like they make fun of everyone, and if like yeah. The funniest joke in the episode, and the one that I love, is the ending where the Scientologists say that they're gonna sue Stan, and because they are very litigious people. And Stan's like, "Fine, sue me. I don't care. I'm not scared." And then it immediately cuts to the credits, and all of the
All
credits
the
have been
credits.
replaced
Yeah.
with John and Jane Doe. Um, I saw someone, and it's a funny joke, but I saw someone in our server actually say that they did that specifically because if anyone was going to get targeted, like Matt and Trey wanted it to be them, the faces of the show, versus just any of the random crew. And I think that
Mhm.
actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because unfortunately, groups like this do tend to try to go after like low hanging fruit or use peer pressure to like bully and harass people. Um, and so the fact that of course, they could look at any other episode to find people, but the fact that immediately no one is credited on the episode. It just kind of does add a little bit of extra comedy and I guess obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I really like that gag as well.
yeah, yep. So yeah, that's about all I have to say. Like I don't. I think this is an important episode. I think I don't know. It's hard to judge it as an episode because it has such a big cultural relevance to everything. Um, I don't know. Like I honestly, if this episode did cut out all of the trapped in the closet parts, I don't think I would have minded. Like for whatever reason that did resonate with people. In fact, at the Emmys, there is a skit with Conan O'Brien as a South Park character going into Stan's closet. Like there is a bit in reference to it specifically. So, but yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about it as a story?
No, I mean, like you said, it's definitely prioritizing the kind of whole like educational message part of it rather than like really going with a plot. I mean, I don't know what the most character progression there really is. It feels like is just like Tom Cruise going in the closet and then coming out at the end. That was probably the most character progression there was. I mean, like sure, there's the whole like plot
Well,
line.
Stan starts to get suckered in by it.
Yeah,
and
then he realizes he's like, wait, it shouldn't be about money, you know? And it's then the whole like president or leader or whatever he's called is like, no, that's exactly what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Which
it's definitely an episode made to make a point.
Yeah.
I do still I think it's a better story than the freemium one, but it isn't a lot of a story. So I would say this is still Emmy nominated just because no show called out Scientology at this point. Genuinely, definitely no cartoon because I mean, like as someone mentioned on The Simpsons, Nancy Cartwright is a Scientologist, Bart's voice actress. So, you know, in a time when basically no one was talking about this issue, just shedding light on it at all, and still being funny somewhat. Like there are good jokes in there, a few of them at least. So yeah, we can move on certainly.
Okay. Then last up, we have The Simpsons with the seemingly never-ending story.
Okay, so this is an episode in which Homer gets trapped in a cave, like Winnie the Pooh, and Lisa tells him a story about how she was being chased by a ram and had to hide away in Mr. Burns' mansion, where he told her a story about how he lost the power plant to the rich Texan because he couldn't complete a scavenger hunt and then he finds the gold that Mo has stole from Snake because he was trying to impress Edna Krabappel, who then also wanted to stay and teach Bart Simpson. How do you recap an episode? Okay, Lisa tells a bunch of stories and then everyone shows up to shoot each other.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a weird one. You gotta get
stories.
Yeah, you gotta give it to this that it is one of those Simpsons episodes that just kind of goes all in on a concept. Yeah, I thought this was all right. I wouldn't say it was like amazing, but I say it was pretty good, and I like that the fact that they are able to successfully achieve this story within a story format and still kind of have like an ending and everything. Like I think they do it sufficiently well, and because of its not genre, but format challenging narrative device, I'd say it's worth an Emmy nom.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I'm actually a sucker for frame stories. I really like the whole idea of a frame story, and so like I was all in for this episode, and I like how at moments at pivotal moments there's kind of these the way that it bridges back in is it doesn't just automatically cut back into the story that it was in. It actually takes the time to be like, well, going back into this story to get to this story to get to this story. Like, it actually bridges over. It works its way back and forth rather than just hard cutting between each one. I like that going in and out constantly. I think that really enhances the entire idea. And the screen cap that we have on screen right now is a perfect representation of the entire episode. Like,
yeah, really.
Because there's a lot going on, but it's also, the plots are still kept simple enough that you know exactly what each character's conflict is. You know, Mr. Burns is like, he needs the photo. Mo needs the woman. Lisa,
Mo needs the woman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how Mo would describe her anyway. Yeah, me and the woman.
Yeah, so like, each character has this one goal that they are wanting to achieve, and they tell their story of how they got into the situation, and then the episode concludes with all of the characters reaching this resolution of them in a Anchorman styled shootout where there's just a bunch of characters all at once coming in to kill each other. I like this episode a lot, actually. I was really into it.
Okay.
It's not like the best Simpsons episode we've seen, but I liked it. I really did. I enjoyed it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. The fact that the ram was only trying to give Lisa back her necklace, and Lisa's like, "Oh, you were just trying to give me back my," and the ram was like, and
like, then we go into its own story about the ram finding it. It's like,
yes,
oh yeah, no, that was great too. I love that.
Okay. Yeah, that at first I was like, oh god, they're gonna make this ram like sentient. Like, what are they like? Why this doesn't make any? But then they just keep going with it, and it crosses that line of no longer is it just like, oh, this is kind of stupid. It is now, this is so far ridiculous that all you can do is just laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the episode.
Yeah, I don't really know that there's a lot to say. I mean, there's some weird implications here. Like, this is apparently the backstory of Snake, that he was Indiana Jones and then he became a robber. And that Mrs. Krabappel was going to leave town with Mo, and then Bart is the reason.
Yes, and that reminds me, the other thing I really like about this whole frame story is it loops back around, because when it gets to whatever her name is and Bart,
Edna Krabappel,
they pull all the way back out to where Lisa is telling the story, and Bart's like, he makes a comment about it like happening, and it's like, it literally loops, like, and it
Marge was like, I don't remember you having summer in school. And Bart's like, oh yeah, I just lied to steal microscope.
Exactly. I think the fact that it's multi-layered in more than just the literal sense is cool. So, narratively speaking, I think this was a great plot.
Poor 22 Ito says, I like how it cut right to the chase instead of starting off with a completely unrelated plot like a lot of Simpsons episodes. Yeah, this is one of the rare ones. I mean, if you want to say them going to the cave is kind of, but it ends up being important later.
Yeah, and that's later explained with Homer's whole motivation for going there.
Yes.
Like we realized, like, Homer wanted to go here to find the coins because he saw the Texas guy put them there.
That's the kind of clever thing, is that it plays exactly like any other episode where it's like, oh yeah, they're going to start by looking at a cave, and then, it's just going to transition to something completely unrelated. And it does, but then it comes back around to it. And it's kind of hacky to be like, oh yeah, the gold is just in the cave because the rich Texan stored it there because he doesn't trust banks. Like, it's a little forced, but they get there. I think it's fine. I think it works.
Yeah, I think it works absolutely. I like how, like, there's a lot of cross-referencing between all the stories because they all take place at different points in time too, but they all overlap and cross. These threads are all tying together. It's like this huge, and I'm also a sucker for Christopher Nolan films, which Christopher Nolan loves to do a lot of stuff with having multiple timelines going on simultaneously in different plots. Like, Inception's a very good comparison to this episode because they also do the whole frame story aspect. But, like, the fact that this whole, like, episodes is a constant web of different things happening at different points in time that all come together at the end, when you can do that effectively, you've got a really solid episode on your hands. And I absolutely will vouch for this. Plot and narrative wise, this is a very solid pick for
I
a
also
nominee.
I also feel like so yeah, no, this is not one of the funniest episodes, but there are great jokes. Tunjay mentions another great one. You guys have guns, and he walks into the shadows with his bat, and he
Yeah,
like
I have one
pretends
too.
to cock it.
I
Like,
hope you guys don't mind. I
uh,
brought my son.
yeah, yeah. Go play with the other little boy over there.
Yeah.
Like, there's good jokes, but
Hmm.
it's not like a laugh out loud start to
Yes.
finish episode. But I think also the fact that the story is the way it is. If you were to rewatch it, you would kind of get different
Hmm.
things out of it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, if it's a story that's just one narrative, you generally remember the big things about it, unless you're watching Family Guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess. But no, you generally remember like the big twists. You're gonna remember any like the ending. You're probably gonna remember the biggest moments you're gonna remember. But with this, it's just kind of like there's so much jam packed in there. I feel like I could rewatch this episode tomorrow and be like, oh, okay, like I wouldn't mind watching it again. Whereas a lot of the other things, even episodes I like, it's like, all right, I need to go a few years before seeing that again because it's like I'm
Hmm.
just gonna remember everything that happened.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, cool episode. Certainly, I wouldn't say it's one of the best, but it's definitely solid. Good genre breaking episode with a few big laughs. Boom.
Boom.
All
Yeah, there you
right,
go.
all right. So those are the 5 nominees. Oh, I should remind everyone to go vote. Forgot to do that. Go vote on the community tab. Do it, you filthy
Yeah,
animals.
go vote. We're not doing the poll because of what happened last week, but
In the chat. Well, also there's 5 nominees we
that's
can't.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, go vote in the poll. You got a little bit left. It's like probably 10 minutes.
Hmm.
All right, ranking these episodes. I think Go Goo Go is the worst, followed by Camp Lazlo. Uh,
Yeah, this is where it gets tougher, right? It's like the
yeah,
first two, because I
the
agree.
adult shows certainly brought it. They
Hmm.
certainly brought it. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta go in the closet real quick. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Pie will not come out of the closet.
Pie guy, we need you to come out and make your ranking. I don't want to come out the closet. There are no rankings in the closet. And then I pull out my gun. That the reason he says that is because that happens in the song. It's like a 10-minute song of him
Mhm.
singing about how he was in bed with a lady and then like her boyfriend comes in and then he hides in the closet or something. And
Okay.
at a random point in the song he goes, "And I pull out my gun."
I get
It's
you.
like,
Okay.
yeah.
I've never listened.
All
to
right,
the
your
music,
turn
so I
to your
don't
turn
know.
to rank them.
You haven't even. You haven't even. What'd you pick for number one?
Mm. Eh.
Go on then. Go on then.
I
Go
don't
on.
know. Mm. What do I stand for, right? Good story, really funny comedy, or meaningful message? What do I go with? I don't know. You gotta go. You gotta go, Shadow, because I'm at an impasse here. I need a minute to think.
Yeah. All right. Well, I agree. Foster's is at the very bottom, dead last. Camp Lazlo's right
Yep.
above that, 5 and 4,
Mhm.
4 and 5. Number 3 and number 2 is what I'm stuck on, but I know number 1. See, I think all 3 of the adult shows were pretty solid nominees.
They
Like,
brought it. Yeah, they
did.
brought it this year.
Absolutely. They crushed the kids shows, like knocked it out of the park. I mean, there wasn't even a Nickelodeon nominee here, so like,
Yeah.
what's up with that? Avatar was a thing. Anyways,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put. See, the tough thing with Family Guy and South Park is like they both have
They're uneven.
messages. They both
Yeah.
have messages. South Park's message is more in depth, whereas I found Family Guy's funnier. So it's like
Yep.
they balance each other, because it's like they both have comedy and a message, but one is weighted more in one and the other's the opposite. I'm putting Simpsons at number 1 because I really did enjoy that episode a lot, and I loved the narrative, and I thought the writing excelled immensely.
Okay.
You know, in past years or future years, depending on your perspective, that we've talked about, I feel like there were other episodes of these shows that did more to push the actual animation aspect. And so I'm having difficulty picking any of these to really stand out when it comes to the actual visual presentation. Like, they have moments, but none of them are like super noteworthy, I feel. So I'm going based off of writing in general. And I feel that in terms of how well written an episode is, at no point did The Simpsons feel like it meandered or dragged. Everything is tightly knit together, and there were jokes as well. So that's why I'm putting Simpsons at number 1, whereas I feel like Family Guy and South Park, while they were both, they were both telling a message. I'm going to put South Park at 3 and Family Guy at 2, because even though both of them didn't really focus on the plot, I feel like there was still more of a plot with the conflict with the FCC and what that was doing in the Family Guy episode and how it affected all of the different shows that we cut away to. Whereas with South Park, there wasn't much of a plot there really at all. Like, there was a little bit with Tom Cruise and then that whole like moment with Stan, but that really didn't do much. It was mostly just in service of the message. So yeah, I'm going to put South Park at 3, Family Guy at 2, and Simpsons at number 1. I think that's my ranking. Though that's a very tough ranking for me to make.
I actually agree with you. I think that, look, South Park, I think this is an important message, but if I have to be honest, it's not the funniest episode of South Park by a long shot, and it has a lot of downtime. It doesn't feel like this went far as a story. I think it's super important, but I'll put it at 3, and then I will put PTV at 2 because I think that its message is simpler, but it really, like, it kind of punctuates it, and it's really funny. Like, I do think that it's really funny. And then I'll put Simpsons at number 1, simply because I feel like of all the episodes, it's the one that is the most balanced. Like, it is the most, it's got good jokes, it's got good story. I guess it doesn't really have a message. Well, no, it does have a message. Marge makes everyone get along. The real gold was the stories we told along the way. Yeah, I don't know. It feels a little weird to do that, but I will put The Simpsons at number 1. But just know that I regard all 3 of these as pretty important episodes for various reasons. And my ranking on that could certainly change, but to move the show along, I'll say it like that.
Yeah. It was a tough top 3 for sure. Like. Yeah.
All right. What won the Emmy?
Well, wouldn't you know it? It was actually the Simpsons episode, the seemingly never-ending story. Ended up winning that year.
Hey, Simpsons earned it, really.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I'm glad it wasn't
That's
Camp
great.
Lazlo or Foster's.
Yeah.
I would have been happy with any of the other 3, but.
And no wonder why people look down on animated shows. If this is what was being submitted to like the general public, yeah. This was a very interesting year. This is definitely one of the more interesting years, I'd say.
Yeah, agreed.
Where you really kind of have to pick your values. Comedy, story, message. What do you go for? It's interesting. I think I wouldn't be upset with any of those 3 winning, to be honest with you.
Yeah, neither.
Okay, so let's see the poll. With
Well, do we want to go
5%
over
of
what we would nominate first?
No, don't we announce the?
No, we do what we would pick, and then we go to the poll. We've been doing
All right,
this show
fine.
for how many months now, my guy?
Dude, I don't know. Whatever. Do your thing.
Now we go over which episode we nominate for the year.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So
do you want to go first, or should I?
Sure. I'm gonna go ahead and pick another Avatar episode. Guess who knew that? I'm gonna go ahead and pick Zuko Alone. It's a standout episode. Really kind of tells you what Zuko's character is at that point and what he stands for. There's no other main characters in that episode. I don't believe, unless, is there a B plot in Zuko Alone? There might be a B plot. But Iroh isn't in it. Might be misremembering, but I know Zuko Alone is a particularly great episode of Avatar that people love. So, I'm gonna go ahead and go with that one.
Yeah, that one's absolutely award worthy. So the episode I'm gonna go with, this was something that dawned on me not last minute, but last 30 minutes, that I remembered from 2 weeks ago that was brought up. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with it now. My pick is a SpongeBob episode, Dunces and Dragons.
No. Okay, yay.
That's a very memorable, solid season 4 episode of the series that does a lot of cool things, and it's a 22-minute special, so it works. Because the whole 11-minute thing. I think it's great. Plenty of quotable lines, memorable moments. There's, I think all of the characters do a very good job of servicing the different D&D classes that they're assigned to. It gets very dark.
Dost thou talkest to me?
Yeah. It gets very dark with the whole someday but not today moment that everyone remembers. I think it's a very enjoyable episode. Definitely one of the best episodes of season 4 of SpongeBob, like without question. I could sing its praises all the time. And in your video, you gave it a good, which I was hoping you would, because I didn't remember that video from so long ago.
But yeah. Dungeons and Dragons, I believe, made it really high, if not number one of my SpongeBob specials.
Yeah,
list.
It's without a doubt one of the best ones that they've made.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my pick.
Nice. I'll go into a little more depth about Zuko Alone. I wanted to make sure I wasn't speaking like nonsense here, but no, it is an episode. The only other main characters in it are Azula and the Fire Lord, if you can call him a main character, I guess. And this is also the one. Iroh has a brief appearance in the flashback, because this is the episode where we learn about Zuko's mother, and we really kind of see the family dynamics. We see Iroh at Ba Sing Se, like it's a really good flashback. And then in the present, it's Zuko helping. And befriending like a little family with a farm, and we see it. We really see the horrors of the war and what it's done, and all the problems it's caused, and it's a really special episode.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Among a series of special episodes.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So
now you can do the poll.
All right, with a whopping 5% of 448 votes. We got Hello Dolly / Overcooked Beans.
I'm proud of you all. You guys did it. We did it, Reddit.
With 7% of the votes is The Simpsons seemingly never-ending story. Yeah. Wow. Yep. With 16% of the votes, it's Go Goo Go. With 26% of the votes, it's Trapped in the Closet. And with 46% of the votes, you guys chose PTV, which I'm not upset by. The Simpsons being this low is a little upsetting, but But yeah, PTV I think is fair. And yeah, so and Camp Lazlo's at the bottom, where it belongs.
Yeah, I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah,
7%
good job.
Got it right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's surprising to me too, because Simpsons have had way higher percentages in other polls that we've done. So the fact that it's that low is very shocking to me. But
I demand a recount. Camp Lazlo should be number 1, says Chad King. All right, monsters, get out of here.
Get out of your alt account. Are you gonna say Train Man's Comet Pie? You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Hey Lois, we want a community poll.
There you go. Good job.
Remember that time we were at the Emmys?
Remember that time we were on the award show audit?
Remember that time we were in Star Wars?
No.
Hey Chris.
No, we don't.
Want to talk about Star Wars?
You want to talk about Robot Chicken? No, it's the best show on.
No, Dad, it's a good show. You gotta love it. Dad, Cartoon Network is the #1 kids network And Robot Chicken's a really imaginative show. Yeah, okay, Chris, you just stitched together a bunch of clips from other episodes. Good job. Aw, Dad. That's not really nice.
Oh my god.
Go back to Buffy, Chris. I liked you as the werewolf. Did somebody invite me?
Your impressions are on point tonight. I'm just saying.
Guys, the reason I've hated Seth MacFarlane, I gotta be honest, he's my dad. It's just it
comes out.
it's just listen. He based the character Meg off of me. It's complicated. I don't want to get into it. But I just think you all need to know. Be quiet about egg smoothies. I don't know. Just everyone go away. So, all right. Shall we announce? So next week. Next week, there's big stuff.
There is. Next week, we've got a whopping 2 nominees, but we also have something special that we're going to be adding on as a result of that. So
yes. So, okay, so moderator of the chat and of the Discord server and friend of mine, CDCB, VHS archivist and Nixtory creator, he has kindly offered to share the information that he has, in that he has the discs that were submitted to the Emmys by Cartoon Network. He has everything that they submitted for the half-hour category. So we know other shows, other episodes, in fact, that were nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to him, we even have scans of what was actually sent to the Emmy people. So, granted, they don't do this anymore. They send the episodes digitally, but perhaps maybe they still send a PDF like this. But yeah, thank you, CDCB. He will be joining us next year. So check out the other 3 things Cartoon Network submitted for the half-hour animated Emmy. We'll talk about that next week. Shadow, announce what they are.
Okay. So I need to pull up the list for that.
How did he get the disc? He's an Emmy voter, of course. It would be illegal to sell or buy them. He's an Emmy voter. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm pulling them up. Do these have the actual episodes on them, like the specific episode?
Yes. Oh, do they not?
I don't see the specific episode on these graphics.
Oh, all right. Well, I have it on. They're on the discs, which I did not send you, but I'll tell them.
Why I don't have it then. Go for it.
All right, that's fine. So, he got the discs. He's a genie.
He's a genie.
Oh my god. So, we have Juniper Lee, The Life and Times of Juniper Lee, which premiered in the same time that Camp Lazlo did. It's The Great Pumpkin, Juniper Lee. I assume it's a Halloween special. I don't know anything other than that it was a similar show to American Dragon.
I never
that's all I know.
watched the show when it was on. I never saw a single episode, despite it being on Cartoon Network, ever.
All I remember is that in the Cartoon Network Summer Jam, all right, they said, "Pleased to meet you, Camp Lazlo and Juniper Lee. They're new." You remember that? Remember they had like a big
I don't remember that. I do remember the promo of Juniper Lee on the subway, and then she gets to like fight a monster, but the Powerpuff Girls beat her to it because they're a better show.
Didn't you do a review of that?
I did.
Yeah, well, because it's like 2 out of 3 girl shows they've ever made, or female protagonist shows. Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, additionally, there's everyone's favorite with Rick Platypus, although he's not in this episode. My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Political animals. We got a political episode.
Oh boy, here we go.
And Shadow will like this one. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. My Fair Mandy.
That's the one they
next week.
Oh,
yep.
Yes.
Next week.
Go.
Shadow gets to talk about the
my God.
Girls.
Finally. I've been waiting for this for months.
The bias
I wasn't
is here.
expecting it this soon though, but let's go. Oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited now. Oh man, I'm so
Yep.
excited for that one.
So next week we'll be watching and talking about those three. Um, interesting stuff. So yes, so next, would you like to announce the 2 hour long things? We will also talk about that next week. They're
Hmm.
just not very interesting, so we needed other stuff.
Yeah. So there's only 2 nominees as opposed to the 4 that there were last week. There's the first nominee, which is Before the Dinosaurs or Life Before Dinosaurs, aka Walking with Monsters. Apparently in America it was named something different, whereas everyone else it was called Walking with Monsters.
This was this came about. Monsters wouldn't leave the recast couch,
No.
so we
So
had to
we
try to incentivize them with a walking program.
Yeah, so we went ahead and we took a walk. We made an hour-long documentary on it. Look forward to it, guys. It's pretty crazy. And then the other nominee is My Life as a Teenage Robot with the Escape from Cluster Prime special. So those are the 2 nominees. That's it. So yeah, look forward to those.
At 7 o'clock, you're gonna get a call to go award show auditing down by the mall. Hey, it rhymed. uh, hmm.
But yeah,
We'll get to figure out what Shadow thinks about a show with a female protagonist who kicks butt
yeah,
multiple times next week.
I
We'll get
know.
to-
It's exciting.
yeah.
Multiple
Oh yeah, that
times.
should be pretty
Yeah, that's
exciting.
right. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this.
These are
I'm really glad
yeah.
that CDCB was so generous to share that with us because I think that's really going to make it a cool episode.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, three episodes, 3 shows we've never talked about on the audit and may never talk about again.
Shika, I need
Also
you to get
Teenage
off
Robot.
my computer. I'm in the middle of a stream. Sorry, Shika nearly crashed the stream. I apologize for that.
Oof.
It's all good. Keep going.
All right. Well, yeah. So, yeah. Tune in next week. You won't want to miss this one. This one's gonna be extra different and weird and
For
spicy. Lot of weird stuff going on. So, yep. Thanks again, CDCB, and yeah, we will see you guys all next week. Pie Guy rules. Ooh. Pie Guy rules out.
Bye, guys.